All right, so we are live. This is Richie and I've been wanting to make these videos for a little bit of time, but of course, because I am always on the road, it gets very difficult. But what I'm going to try doing is every time I am in town, I'm home at least once per day, hopefully in the morning time, I'm going to start providing these live videos. I get a lot of questions when I'm out at events, and this is going to be geared towards sales professionals, entrepreneurs, and I'm just going to try to provide as much quality content as I possibly can and help you along the road. I know you guys see I am always posting a lot of motivational content, but this is more geared towards processes and sales and entrepreneurship and really what it takes to get to that next level, because I truly believe mindset is super important, and that's why I provide a lot of mindset videos and a lot of mindset content. But I also want to talk a little bit, and I'll use these live videos to talk more about not just the content side of things, but also, the mindset, but more of the content. So one of the questions that I got here was about how do we continue to touch clients? Like, she said that it takes 5, 6, 7 touches in order to really, in order to get a client. And that's the reality of the way things are today, is it does take 4, 5, 6, 7 touches for people to consider, for people to, or maybe it's just not the right time and we want to stay relevant. So what do we do during this period of time to stay relevant and to provide, to stay relevant and keep in mind so that when they are ready to make that decision, because maybe they just weren't ready to make it at that time, they are interested and they want to work with us and they want to move forward with you, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. So the first thing I want to get into is systems. And you can have, all these different follow-ups, all this different content, all these different value that you're providing to your clients. But if you don't have proper systems in place, you're never going to be able to really see what works. So the first thing is we have to have systems in place. The other big thing is when you do get really busy, when you do have a lot of clients, at some point in time, you're going to need to have someone else help out and fill in. And if they don't have systems to follow, then they're going to be from ground one trying to figure everything out. So number one is you've got to have systems. And what are systems? Systems are literally step-by-step processes of how you do things, literally from the minute you open your computer to sending additional follow-ups, what's in that a follow-up, what are you saying, what are we trying, what value are we providing, like literally word for word scripts, if you want to call them, if it's a call, if it's an email, if it's a value, like literally every step that you take to do that. Now, the reason that we have systems is to collapse time frames, and also at some point in time to be able to have other people work with you and help you out through that process. Systems are literally the way to create like this path where you can go on and eventually bring other people on with you and grow. It's like the only way to scale. If you don't have systems, you're always going to be figuring things out and you're never going to have any sort of consistency. So by the way, I'm not sure, this is new, this platform that I'm using, so I can see comments and reactions, but I don't know if I can see if people are viewing. So I'm not sure, but if you do comment, I will see. So if you have any questions, comment. Okay. This is new, so I probably don't have anybody viewing, which is okay too. So hopefully you'll see this later or a replay. But I didn't want to do it on my personal page. Okay. So why do we have them? So how do we make systems? So literally, there's a bunch of platforms out there. I think Sweet Process is one that I first started with. Now I have my own internal platform and website that holds all of the systems and processes for my team. But how do we make them? You literally, whether it's a piece of paper or on your computer and your notes in your phone, and you just literally put step 1, do, and you be very specific at exactly what it is that you're saying, what it is that you're doing, what content you're pulling from, in everything. Like literally, this is just in everything everything in your process. And where to keep them. So like I said, I used to use Suite Process. Now I have my own internal backend platform that was custom, where I store everything. That's where I store all the systems, all the scripts, everything in one place. Another thing that you should have, and if you don't have one, shame on you, is a CRM. Like, if you don't have a CRM, then you're just like so far behind the eight ball. I spoke at a company that was doing $16 million a year, and they do not use, or excuse me, a month, and they do not use a CRM. Like, that is absolutely shocking to me. How do you not use a CRM? Can you just imagine the next level that they're going to get to now when they implement systems and have a CRM? A CRM is a client relationship management tool, and that's where you keep all of your contacts so you know when to follow back up with them. There's a HubSpot, Pipedrive is the one that I use, but you literally just Google CRM and you will see a bazillion different options out there of different CRMs that you can use. Okay, so when do we contact these individuals, these 5, 6, 7 touches, and what do we provide? First of all, when it comes to when, you need to have some sort of sales cadence, and that's why I talk about systems, right? So in your sales cadence, it would say something like this. I'm going to send this email, and 7 days later, I'm going to send them something in the mail, and 7 days later, I'm going to send them information about their competition, and 3 days later, or 1 month later, or 2 months later. And it really just depends on your product, your service, and how long your sales life cycle is. If your life cycle is a year, you're not going to send something every single week, right? One thing that a lot of people make a mistake of is they go into programs like MailChimp and all these other programs and try to send out the same stuff for everybody, and that does not work. That's like the old school way of doing things, because like the reason that it doesn't work is because people know when stuff's templated and when it's not meant specifically for them, and they're not interested. They're not gonna care. Like, people respond when they know that it's meant for them, that you did your research, that you actually care. And so that's why it's super important to not use like a MailChimp or one of these other platforms that just send that, where you have like, over 6 months, one email every month, and they all, and if you can send it to 6 different people that could be your potential clients, then it's not right. Like, you shouldn't do it. All right. So that's what a sales cadence is. When and how often is really predicated on your sales cycle. So if you know that your sales cycle can take a one week, and then maybe every day. If it's usually 3 months, then once per week. But you have to dictate that based on what you're providing, and realistic. Like, we don't want to totally bombard them, but we do want to stay relevant, right? That's what this is all about. We do want to keep them in mind. So how to make a sales cadence. Super simple. Literally, you're writing out 1 week and 2 weeks and 4 weeks. We'll talk about what goes into that, but you got to figure out how often you're going to touch them and what that looks like, and keep it consistent across the board. Because here's the thing, like, if you do the same thing for, let's say, a year, and you're starting to see that people are responding really good in certain areas and certain different pieces of value that you're providing, then you know what works, and you can continue to customize this process for you, right? So let's talk about some ways that we can provide our potential clients value. Like, this is really, really big. Like, one of the things that came up in the question was, like, I go to them on site and I share with them information about the company. Now, I don't know the whole story, but I can tell you this from experience: 99% of the time, people do not care at all. Literally, they do not care at all about you or your company. Like, they don't care at all. They just don't. So the more information you provide about your company, the more annoying it is. Like, back in the day, before the internet, before all the information that was provided to us, you could go in and literally like do a dump on. So you're going to meet with a potential client and you're like, well, we've been around for 18 years and I've done this and we're work with clients such as da 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 da. and people would listen. But today, most people do the research already. So all of that information is just annoying. They want to know how you can help them. So all of the different information you provide to them should be based around how you can help them, right? How you can provide value to them, how you can solve, this is the key, how you can solve their problems. Like, what does your service or your product do that can solve their problems? Bottom line. And that's what we want to start with. So value email. So first of all, let's say the client knows who you are. Like, this is not about prospecting. That'll be another video. This is, the client already knows who you are, and you're just trying to stay relevant. You're just trying to continue to stay in their mind and provide them value and show you understand, right? So value email. So we'll start with emails here. So what's up, Michelle? Okay, so I do get, Michelle, what's up? So this is a new platform. Okay, so value emails on market trends. So yes, when you're doing, well, let's talk about emails for a second. So when it comes to emails, there's so many different avenues you can go. Market trends is a really big one. Like, we're talking about finding ways to provide value to your clients, right? Provide value to your potential customers. And that's a really good way. The mindset that you need to have is not that you're a salesperson. The mindset that you need to have is you're a consultant for them. Like, if you think in your mind you're a consultant, you understand their business and you're trying to solve their problems, then providing value in emails is going to be really easy. Never start with the word I. Never use I, especially in the first two sentences. Use you, your, the business. Like, talk about them and be a consultant to them. So if you want to talk about market trends is a big one, competition. So what is the competition? What is their competition doing? How are they solving this potential problem, or maybe how you're solving it? But talk about what they're doing and then how you're solving it. Never just talk about how you're solving it. You're gonna put yourself in a pigeonhole, and they're gonna get annoyed. So another way that you can provide value, stay relevant, is through videos. There's an application out there called BombBomb. It's getting really popular, but this is a way that you can provide little quick snippets of information and value to them. So we talked about market trends. We talked about talking about their competition. Another thing you can talk about is just their industry and what's happening in their industry. A great way to do this is to go on LinkedIn, and you should have a LinkedIn, and look at what's going on in their industry, what people are posting about their softwares or similar softwares, let's just say, for example, or similar companies. Look at the news, look what they're doing, and make videos on that and say, hey, here's something that you can do to improve your business. Nothing about your product, nothing about your service, but just value to them as to what they're doing. Another cool thing that you can do is direct mail. And this, again, you can use any one of these, like market trends and competition and talking about news in their industry. But direct mail is a really cool thing. I'm not recommending to do this, but this is actually my first job that I ever had. This had been done before. This isn't something new, but he literally mailed a pair of shoes to the client. And maybe you've heard of this before, but he literally did this. He mailed one of his shoes to the potential client, and in the box wrote a note that said, now that I have one foot in the door, are you open to a phone conversation, or whatever, something like that. But be creative. Like, when it comes to touches, like, meeting in person is cool. One thing that annoys me a lot is when people reach out to me and they're just like, can I have 30 minutes of your time on a phone call? It's like, no, you can't have 30 minutes of time on a phone call. I don't even know you. I don't even know what you provide. But if they provided me 3 to 5 or 6 touches of really niche information that's valuable to me, specific, not templated, then I know, isn't it? I love it. Then like literally, then I'm going to be interested. I might be like, whoa, okay, so what does this person provide? Then that person can say, here's your problem, or do you have this problem? And I say, yes, I do. Okay, here's how you can solve that problem. Now I'm interested. Okay, let's have a phone call. Way different approach than what you get on LinkedIn and all this other stuff. You get blasted with people like, I would love to have a phone call. I'm sure you do, right? But like, that's not the way to get into people's mind and into people's potential to hire you or work with you or whatever. So, all right. Now, I know this is the first one, not that many people. Michelle, it is really funny. I can't believe he actually did that, but he did get the call. He didn't get the business, but it was a really, look, because if you think about it like this, you can get a pair of shoes for like $10. So it's really not that big of an investment. But something funny that you can do, and people respect that. People want transparency, right? Like people want real. And that's why I think things like that, little things like that make a huge difference. And that right there, I've already hit on 6 touches. That doesn't include if you're like in medical sales or the one that emailed me, that you can actually go into their office and bring donuts, bring different things. I know it is. It absolutely is. I love it. All right. So that is pretty much all that I have content wise for staying relevant, and doing different things like that and providing value, right? And staying in the mindset of, how can I help you? If you're constantly thinking about how I can do better, how I can increase my sales, you're gonna have a long road and you're gonna have a lot of trouble. But if you think in terms of how can I help you, how can I help your day better, you're gonna have much more success. So that is all I have. I do not have any questions. I do think it's hilarious, Michelle, as well. And my computer's getting crazy, so maybe you should do that. Give it a shot. See how it goes. But I would, like I said before, I'm going to be posting these or doing these lives as much as I can to provide more step-by-step content as opposed to just motivational and inspirational stuff. I'm going to keep that going, because if you don't have the right mindset, if you're not motivated, if you don't have the right like what I like to call the relentless mindset, then you're always gonna have a lot of trouble. And regardless of all these techniques and different strategies and cool things you can do, you're always gonna have trouble because you're not gonna have the right mindset. You're not gonna do any of it because you're gonna be, having issues with things like fear of failure and rejection and those things. So I'll try to post these as much as I can. I'm late today, but when I am in town and not on the road, I'm going to do them at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys later.